Life here in the United States is about to take a turn for the worse as people are lining up at 4 and 5 a.m., standing in line, waiting for food and leaving empty handed because they didn't get there early enough and there's no more food left. That's exactly what we're being told by many of these food banks throughout the United States. Look at this right here. It says U.S. food banks brace for surge as shutdown threatens benefits. Now, I've talked about this several times over the past week that in just mere days, this coming week, on November 1st, many people throughout the United States are going to go hungry. There's already 25 states that have said they have no money available to send to SNAP recipients. As a result, they have to wait for the federal government to reopen before they can continue sending out these benefits to millions of recipients. And that is extremely, extremely worrisome. Look at this. It says right here, the food bank, which also serves households in Kentucky and Ohio, has had to shrink its allotments as higher food costs and surging need strain its budget. I've been saying this for several months, that as food costs rise, guess what happens? The food banks, their costs rise as well. Not everything's a donation. Some of the things that they get, it's not food. It's actual money, cash. And they get it every single month from donors that here's $100 so you can go and buy, a bunch of food and hand it out to those in need. That's great. But as the economy worsens, those people that were given $100, do you think they go and say, oh, things are getting really tough, I'm going to give $150 this month? No, that's not really how it works, mainly because the economy is getting harder, meaning those people that once had the $100 may not have it anymore. Again, another problem. Look at this. It says now facing the prospect of nearly 300,000 West Virginians missing November Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits, also known as food stamps, due to the federal government shutdown, there is little more she can do. People are struggling. And it's not just the people, it's the food pantries as well. Look at this one. This says it's really scary. Louisville Food Pantry runs out of food for the first time in 43 years. This is where it is getting extremely concerning. And I'm trying to give you this warning. Even if you're not on food stamps, it doesn't matter, because as all these people who were previously on food stamps could go to grocery stores and buy the food, guess what they're doing now? They're going to get free food, meaning all the products at the grocery store may not sell. Here's the problem. Let's say you work at a grocery store. You could see a layoff very soon as a result of a government shutdown where federal workers, military personnel not getting paid. We're also seeing food stamp recipients not getting their benefits, meaning they're not spending the government money in your store, meaning you could be out of a job very soon. You see how this works? It's not just those that are working for the federal government that are currently struggling. Everybody is. Look at this right here. This article says, more military families turning to food banks as government shutdown wears on. Here's the interesting thing. Military personnel are deemed essential, which means they're still working, but yet they're not getting paid. That's what's going to happen on November 1st. And just this past Friday, here's the extremely concerning part, says federal workers flocked to DC Food Bank as they missed their first full paycheck of the shutdown. It says right here, people are living from paycheck to paycheck trying to figure out how to feed themselves. I actually had a friend of mine reach out, and he was saying that he's getting a lot of people coming to him asking for assistance. And he's done very well. But his wife, or not his wife, his girlfriend, not married yet, or fiance, I guess, they've been together for quite some time. He's done very well. She works for the federal government. She has been furloughed. So eventually she will get paid, but she's not getting paid right now. Well, here's the issue. For all these federal workers that there's there's a two-income family and both of them are federal workers, both are furloughed, that means neither one is making any money until the federal government reopens. Again, this is just the start. And I've been saying this for several weeks that this could go on and be the longest government shutdown in history. If it is, that means we are going past November 5th. That would make it the longest government shutdown in history. But look at this. Watch this video. Let me know your thoughts on this.
In Southeast D.C., this food bank line just for federal workers.
You have to have your government ID.
I want to point some out. That was a food line just for government workers. You have to have your federal ID or else you do not get food. Guess what? According to reports, there were people, and that was yesterday, there were people waiting in line to get food, didn't realize it was for government employees only. And yet, they've been there for hours, had to be turned away. But this is what's interesting about what's happening right now. You look across the United States, and there's some places where it's only government employees that will receive benefits. It's only people with children that will receive benefits. And you have to prove that you have children. So you have to bring a birth certificate of that child. Yeah, that's where we're at. Now, it's crazy to think, but we are at the point right now. Everybody's fighting for the same thing, for food, just to stay alive. That's where we're at. Let's keep watching this, though.
Stretches around the block. Many furloughed federal employees like Anthony Spite now waiting hours for help.
I have children to feed, I have a family to take care of, I have a mortgage to pay. So it's a lot of uncertainty.
The Bipartisan Policy Center reports 1.4 million civilian federal employees like Spite did not get paid today.
I never thought that I would be in this predicament where I'm in need of assistance. Thank you.
Under a 2019 law, federal workers will be reimbursed at the end of the government shutdown. But that help could still be a long way away.
Yeah, we could be a long way away because right now, Democrats and Republicans are not really working together to try to open up the federal government. They're giving, this is our requirement, and then they're going head to head. That's going to impact every single one of us. Every single one, myself included. I don't get government assistance. I don't get any type of government assistance. But here's what I can tell you. As we start to see more federal workers miss not just their first full paycheck, but their second full paycheck, military personnel not getting paid, SNAP beneficiaries not receiving their benefits, these churches, these food banks are going to be overwhelmed. And that's exactly what the federal government has been warning for quite some time. And we did learn the other day that SNAP benefits, the Trump administration is going to reject the use of emergency funding amid the shutdown. Some say it's not just the Trump administration rejecting it, but legally they can't use emergency funding in order to fund this because this is something that should have been mandatory, but they don't have the funding yet because that has not yet been appropriated. That's a huge concern. I want to read you a little bit more of this article though, okay? It says, you remove SNAP dollars and people have no resources. We're in some real trouble. It says 9 food banks and anti-hunger groups in 8 states told Reuters they will struggle to absorb higher demand if November SNAP benefits are not distributed. The shutdown, now the second longest in history, has prevented Congress from funding the benefits, which reach more than 41 million Americans. If you remember back during the pandemic, when you were seeing people were really struggling, their food banks were offering food, you can go get fruits and vegetables, some meats, you can go get different rice and beans and other things that would actually hold in a pantry. There were lines around the block. And there were lines, people were in cars, parked on sides of highways, just trying to get food for their families. Do you remember this? I'm not going to show you video of it because, again, I hate bringing that up, being that we're 5 years out, but that was a very tough time. I remember that very well. And too many people remember that it was a very difficult time in their lives. But some say what's coming in November could be worse than what we saw during the pandemic. So, I'll leave you with that, but if you have any questions regarding any of this, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.